975 Balderik, Bishop of Utrecht 918-75, dies. In 1076 Prince Svyatoslav Roman II of Kiev b. 1027. In 1087 Bertha of Savoy, German Queen and Holy Roman Empire Empress, completed work to Canossa with husband Henri Roman IV, dies at 36. In 1381 Edmund Mortimer, 3rd Earl of March, English politician. In 1548 Francesco Spiera, Italian Protestant jurist b. 1502. In 1585 Pierre de Ronsard, French poet ode Cassandre, Les Amours, dies at 61. In 1590 Emmanuel Philibert of Lalaing, Baron of Montigny and Marquis of Renty, dies at 33. In 1596 Pietro Pontio, Italian composer Ragionamento di Musica, dies at 64. In 1603 Thomas Cartwright, English Presbyterian publicist, dies at about 68. In 1631 John Pijnas, Dutch painter, buried at about 47. In 1641 Frans van die Eersen, Dutch nobleman, minister of Sommelsdijk, and diplomat, dies at 69. In 1663 Christine Marie of France, French-born daughter of Henri Roman IV of France, and Duchess and Regent of Savoy, dies at 57. In 1707 Jean Mabillon, French paleographer and monastic scholar, established principles for dating medieval manuscripts, dies at 65. In 1737 William Bowyer, English printer to the Royal Society, known as the Learned Printer, dies at 38. In 1743 Hyacinthe Rigaud, French painter, dies at 84. In 1771 Henri Pitot, Italian-French engineer, dies at 76. In 1782 Henry Home, Lord Kames, Scottish philosopher b. 1697. In 1800 Hugh Blair, Scottish preacher and man of letters, dies at 82. In 1805 Belle van Zuylen, Dutch-Swiss writer Trois Femmes, dies at 65. In 1812 Joanna Southcott, an English self-described religious prophetess. In 1812 Sh. Zalman of Lalaing, Lithuanian rabbi and founder of Chabad Hasidism b. 1745. In 1834 Charles Lamb, British critic, poet, essayist, Essays of Eliller, dies at 59. Founded and helped colonize the US state of Texas, dies of pneumonia at 43. In 1858 Alexander Pierre Francois Boulay, French composer, dies at 73. In 1877 Nikolai Alexeyevich Nekrasov, Russian poet, writer and publisher Ruskij Zhenchny, dies at 56. In 1880 Alessandro Nini, Italian composer, dies at 75. In 1894 Francis Roman II, last king of the Two Sicilies before Italian unification, dies at 58. In 1896 John Brown, British manufacturer b. 1816. In 1900 William Armstrong, 1st Baron Armstrong, British industrialist and inventor hydraulic crane Armstrong Can, dies at 90. In 1914 Charles Martin Hall, American chemist and inventor, dies at 51. In 1916 Nikolai Soloviev, Russian music critic and composer, dies at 70. In 1919 Achilles Alfaraki, Russian composer, dies at 73. In 1919 Theodore de Meester, Dutch Premier 1905-08, dies at 68. In 1923 Michael J. Owens, American glassmaker and inventor glass bottle making machine, dies at 64. In 1924 William Archer, Scottish critic and playwright Green Goddess, translated and popularised Ibsen, dies at 68. In 1925 A.S.C. Wallace Adler S.C. Opsimer, Dutch writer in Dagen van Strade, Vorstengunst, poet, translator, and painter, dies at 79. In 1925 Sergei Yesenin, Russian poet, dies at 30. In 1930 William Courtly, Canadian actor. The Birth of Character, Ashes, The Nightingale, dies at 63. In 1931 Peter C. Lutkin, American organist, composer. The Lord Bless You and Keep You, choral conductor, and educator. Northwestern University, 1891–1931, dies of a heart attack at 73. In 1931, Walter Courvoisier, Swiss composer, dies at 76. In 1936, Hans von Seeckt, German general and advisor of Chiang Kai-shek, dies at 70. In 1938, Calvin Bridges, American geneticist who worked on chromosome and heredity, dies of complications from syphilis at 49. In 1938, Emile van der Velde, Belgian socialist politician, president of the Second International 1900–18, dies at 72. In 1938, Osip Mandelstam, Polish-Russian poet and writer, came in, dies in a Siberian transit camp of typhoid fever at 47. In 1942, William Morgan, American physical education instructor and inventor of Mintonet, now known as volleyball, dies at 72. In 1950, Max Beckmann, German painter and graphic artist, dies at 66. In 1952, Henry G. Winkelmann, Dutch Supreme Commander Army Navy 1940, dies at 76. In 1952, Patrick Joseph Hartigan, Australian Roman Catholic priest, dies at 74. In 1953, Julian Tuwim, Polish poet and lyricist, dies at 59. In 1955, Alfred Carpenter, English Royal Navy soldier, dies at 74. In 1955, Ham Fisher, American comic strip writer and cartoonist Joe Palker, dies at 55. In 1956, Lambert McKenna, Irish editor and lexicographer, dies at 86. In 1957, Alan Bridge, actor Hail the Conquering Hero, dies at 66. In 1959, Alfonso Reyes, Mexican writer Simpat as Y de Frenchers and diplomat Hygienia Cruel, dies at 70. In 1965, Edgar End, German surrealist painter, dies at 64. In 1966, Ernest Burgess, American urban sociologist, Ecological School, dies at 80. In 1966, Frankie Tannaro, American boxer, world flyweight champion 1928–31, Olympic gold flyweight 1920, dies at 65. In 1966, Guillermo Saint-Bile, Argentine soccer manager, Argentina 1939–58, Copa America 1941, 45, 46, 47, 55, 57, and striker 4 caps, Hugh N. Genoa, Napoli, dies at 61. Canadian diplomat, Nobel Peace Prize, 1957, and politician, Prime Minister, 1963–68, and WWY aviator commonly known as Mike, dies of cancer at 75. In 1974, Amy Vanderbilt, American authority on etiquette, Complete Book of Etiquette, Complete Cookbook, dies of multiple fractures of the skull at 66. In 1974, Bob Custer Raymond Glenn, American silent and sound screen actor, The Fighting Humber, The Law of the Wild, dies of a heart attack at 76. In 1976, Monroe Botcher, American uniform designer, Red Cross, Girl Scouts, Waves, dies at 86. In 1978, Bob Delange, Jacob Bernard Delange, Dutch actor and director, Daniel, dies at 62. In 1978, Bob Luman, American country and rockabilly singer and guitarist,